while giving introduction, we have fumbled many a time. And this has happened with all the professionals. So in this session, I'm going to talk about how you can give introduction in a very professional manner. Now, there are different ways actually to do that. So I'll tell you how to do that. So there is a personal way to do that, and then you can do it professionally. So when you talk about your personal introduction, you talk about only two things. So you talk about your name, and then you talk about where you belong to. But when you give professional introduction, you talk about your name, where you belong to, and of course, what is your current engagement. So in this session, we are going to talk a lot about these, how to do that, which are different approaches, a stepwise approach. And yes, lastly, we'll also tell you how to describe yourself during an introduction if you are asked to. So what you will do is, we'll first of all start with the basic one. Tell me about yourself. Suppose this is the question. How do you do that? Simple. You'll talk about who you are, my name is, and I belong to. Now you can always change these. You can say, hi, my name is this, or hello, this is, or I am, something like this. Or Naisha this side, or whatever it is, Pradeep this side, you can name that. Okay. But at the same time, you can change this also. So you can say, I belong to, I hail from, I am from. So the expression is up to you that what do you want to use. But the more important part is when you go for professional introduction, what you do is you give this introduction like this. Okay, so you say, I work in IT. Now this is the basic introduction that you give. Okay, so you say, I work in IT. That's it, up to here. Okay, now if you look at this, you have finished it up to here. Okay, so my name is this, I belong to this, and I work in IT. But then you need to also elaborate it. Otherwise, it looks blank. So you would say, I work in IT, where? In a multinational company. You can also name the company. You can give the name of the company as well. And at the same time, what you can do is, you can add something more, some more information. For example, you can talk about your job profile. You can also talk about for how long have you been working there. So when you talk about how long you have been working there, remember one thing, we don't use here I am. So most of the people, they commit this error. They write, I am working in this company for last 6 years, which is wrong. So how would you say? You'll say, I have been working. Now anything which happened, which started in the past and is still continuing, we use present perfect continuous tense. This is what you need to do. The second thing is, like this is one intro. Okay. Now, not all of you work in IT company. So what do? Simple. You talk about your profession. For example, if you are a teacher, how would you talk? So whosoever you are, give me your introduction, that how would you introduce yourself, and try to speak loudly when you give introduction. Try to write it also as well, but try to speak loudly with confidence. So the most important part is not what you speak, but also how you speak. Your tone, your intonation, your throw, delivery, they all count. So if you are a teacher, you can speak like, where do you teach? For how long have you been teaching? You're a teacher in which school? Or maybe of which subject? You need to elaborate as well. So give me all your introduction in the comment section. Okay. For example, you can say, I'm a teacher, and don't say, I am a teacher. Now, say, I'm a teacher. You see, remember, when you go for an interview or maybe an interaction with someone, there can be a lot of questions. But there are some questions actually you already know. You know about these? No? So if you know about these, why not get yourself prepared? Why not get ready and build that kind of aura from the very beginning that people say, wow, he speaks good English. And then you will also gain confidence. Say, I'm a teacher and I teach in a leading school of my city. Now many people commit a mistake. They say, when they speak here, I am a teacher. Here also they'll say, I am teach, which is wrong. Now why it is wrong? The question is, why did I use am here and why didn't I use am here? Simple thing. In present indefinite, if you have verb, you don't use be form. We use be form only when we don't have verb in the sentence. For example, this clause, look at this. There is no verb. And if there is no verb, we will use be form. And what is be form? Is MR, was, were, has been, have been, had been. These are the be forms. Am I making sense to you? All of you? Am I making sense to you? Welcome everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Okay. So I think that you got it, that how you need to speak. I would request you all, please speak aloud your introduction. Yeah? Yeah. It should come to me. I'll feel that. Don't worry about that. Now, what if you are a businessman? How would you like introduce yourself, or what will you explain, or maybe what will you speak? आप क्या बात करोगे? Well, you can talk about I'm a businessman. You can also talk about what do you deal in? आप किस चीज का काम करते हैं? For how long have you been dealing in this particular trade? So you can talk about that. So you can say I'm a businessman. I deal in ready-made garments. Okay. Now when we give our basic introduction, what happens is they ask different kinds of questions. Okay, even in your one-on-one interaction. So you should be ready with those basic questions first of all. So today we are going to take that, but later on I'll also train you on like how to go from basic to a little advanced level. So like you may be asked, where do you belong to? Very simple. Now in our mentorship program, we have a lot of people who are from outside. Okay, so they are from America, they are from Australia, they are from Canada, they are from Dubai, they are from Saudi, Nigeria, New Zealand, they are from different parts of the world. Now, so sometimes what happens is, like if they are asked, where do you belong to? Always remember one thing, there can be two choices. If you are from outside India, okay, like if you are in another country, you can say, I'm an Indian, or I am from India, or whichever country you belong to. If you belong to some other country, you can say, I belong to this country. Okay, I am from here. And if you are from the country that you are asked in, so if, for example, if you are in India, you can say, I am from, or you can say, I belong to, or you can say, I hail from, and then you give the name of your city. You don't need to give the name of your village as some people do in professional setting, but there are some interviews where you are required to do so. So you can even give that. You can give village, you can give town, you can give city and all that. But always remember, people who are located outside India, they'll give this answer of the same question, and people who are inside India, they'll give this answer. Is this clear? Very good evening, everyone. Is this clear? Hope it is clear. Now let's go to the next question. So you may be asked next, Now there are two ways. The first thing is, where do you belong to? So you may belong to a particular city, okay, but then you don't live there anymore. You're shifted. You live somewhere else. So they may ask you, where do you live now? And then again, there can be different ways actually to answer that question. How will you answer these? Okay, so you can answer that question. I live in, name your city. Okay, don't say city, just name your city. I live in, the simplest of the answer. Or you can say, I stay at. Okay, now you generally don't speak the name of the city here, you speak the locality. Or you can say, where, like if somebody asks you in that city, where do you live? So you will give the locality, you will speak the locality. Okay, or you will say, my place. And place means house, home where you live. My place is near a famous hotel in the south. Now remember, this is not hotel, it is hotel. So my place is near a famous hotel in the south. Okay, so आप ये भी बता सकते हैं. Or you can say, oh, I live in the colony right behind the university. Right behind मैंने बिल्कुल पीछे. Okay, right in front of, बिल्कुल सामने. So you should know how to give location of your house. And this is what I find actually most of the people, they fumble in. Okay. Yeah, so they don't know how to give the location. So you should also know how to give the location. Now the next thing is, you can also say this. Suppose you are in a PG. How do you say I live in a PG? Okay, so you can say I stay with the family as PG. Okay, PG is nothing but paying guest. Okay, so you not only stay there, you also get food from the family. So you're like a family member. So you can say that. Or lastly, in an informal setting, especially if you are living temporarily, maybe in a hotel or maybe at some place, guest house kind of a thing, for 10 days, 15 days, 20 days, you can say, oh, I'm putting up at. So put up means rehna. Now, this is what I find actually most of the people, when they are asked these basic questions, they fumble there as well. We'll definitely go to advanced level. We'll also go to describe how to describe yourself, but let me cover all these questions first of all. For example, you may be asked, what are your academic background? Now tell me, all of you actually, if you have to answer this, how can you answer that? And believe me, you can elaborate it to any extent. You can take it to next level while talking about. So one way is just give a basic answer that what have you done. So when somebody asks you about what are your academic background, then you need to be a little elaborative. You need to explain a little. Okay, if you have to say, how would you say that? I want to know. If you have to give your academic background, how would you give that? I'll give you the basic one, but you can always explain that. You can also start with, like, I did my primary education from my hometown and then I moved to this school to do my 10th, 11th and 12th. So after doing my intermediate, I took admission in this college and then I did my graduation from this college and did my post-graduation from this city. That's one way. Or you can simply say, I'm a postgraduate in English. The choice is yours. In fact, the choice is not yours. The choice is of the setting that you are in. The choice is of the person that who has asked you this question, who the person is. So you have to make a very calculative decision to speak whether I'll give one-liner or I'll elaborate. So if you are asked in an in an interview and they are asking you, you think they are asking you to elaborate, give a long answer. Because he's asking about background here. But what I've done here is not to give you the elaborate answer, that I have left to yourself, to you. Very good evening, everyone. Okay, so what you need to do is, you just need to talk about this. Like, for example, you can say, I did graduation in science in 2010. I'll tell you something here. And that is very, very powerful and people make mistakes there. The second option is, you can say, I'm an engineering graduate. Don't say engineering. This is not engineering. This is engineering. So I'm an, not a. And don't say I'm engineering graduate. Say I'm an engineering graduate. I've done BTech in computer science. Now the third option can be, I graduated from XYZ University, name the university, 5 years back. Now, very important distinction that we have in all these three. In the first question, we use did. Altogether a different tense. But here, I have used have done. And in the third one, I did not use did. I used graduated. And I gave these examples intentionally because I've seen people making mistakes. So, like, people would say, I've done graduation in science in 2010, which grammatically is wrong answer. And the reason is, when you are giving time reference, because you are saying here in 2010, so that means you are talking about the past. And present perfect tense, where you use have and verb third form or has verb third form, it is in the present. We will use has, have, verb third form only when there is no time reference. For example, in the second one, I'll use present perfect. Why? I can't use past indefinite here. I don't use actually because I'm in present. Look at the first clause, rather first sentence. I am. I'm in the present. So here also I'll remain in the present. I have done. And this is very, very important. Now here, why did I use did? Because there was no other verb here. But we have a verb. So I can either say did graduation or I can say I graduated. I made a verb of graduation. So you have to be very, very careful even in small sentences. Is this clear to you? If this is clear to you, write CC. Okay, please write CC and I move forward. So you can do this. Of course, you can be in our personal mentorship program, and you definitely can. What you can do is you can book a free strategic session with me if you really want to get into my personal mentorship program, where we personally mentor you, make you a speaker of English, but it is only for professionals and housewives. It is not open for students right now. Whenever it is, we'll tell you. Okay, and it is only when you are ready to invest a good amount of time, energy, and money. Okay, I only train very limited number. Okay, so you can take admission there, and you can also note down my number 96483 So you can write PMP, Personal Mentorship Program, and we'll give you the detail of the same. You please subscribe our channel, Learn English with ZiTA, this channel. And of course, we are on Instagram and Telegram as well. Now let's move forward. Now this is important. How to describe yourself? Now tell me, what is the difference between introduction and description? What is the difference between introduction and description? Yeah. How do you tell me? How to introduce yourself if somebody says, and how to describe yourself? See, when you're talking about introduction, you're only talking about your background. Where are you from? What's your name? What do you do? But when you are talking about description, you're basically talking about your personality, who you are. So in introduction, though it is called introduction, intro means inside, duck meaning to speak or to see rather. But introduction is not very much from inside. The description is. So while introduction is about what you do, who you are, where you live, description is who you are. What kind of person are you? So you have to talk about your personality. So that means you go deep inside you. So when I talk about describing self, so what I'll talk about? Okay. Yeah, I'll basically talk about my personality and my hobbies. That's very, very important. And when I say my personality, I'll talk about both the things. That means my traits and my blemishes. So what do I mean by traits? My traits means my strengths. My blemishes means my weaknesses, or I can also say my improvement area. So every personality is a different personality. We have different traits. And why they ask actually in interviews and all that? Because they want to know you from inside. Now, sometimes we play bluff. We give them the wrong information, but your personality actually gives you out sometimes. So you have to be very, very careful when you speak. I'll give you a sample of this, that how you will speak, how you'll talk about your strengths and your weaknesses. And then I'll also tell you how to talk about your personality. Are you all ready? If you are ready, here we go. Absolutely right. बहुत ही बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया. Very good, very good. Okay. So how do you tell? Again, you come to this, my name is this. And then you talk about your description. Now this is your description. So you say, basically, and you can even speak like this, not basically, basically, I'm an optimist and a hardworking person. You can always change this, like instead of optimist, you want to use some word, you can say I'm sanguine. Instead of saying hardworking person, you can say I'm quite diligent. Your choice. You can say industrious. Your choice. But this is what you have to say. So when it comes to strength, my formula is very simple. 2 strengths, 1 weakness. Simple. And weakness should be something like it should not prick. बहुत बुरी नहीं लगनी चाहिए कि अरे यार, you cannot say that I'm lazy. You can't say that in an interview. Otherwise, in an informal setting, you can say anything. You can give yourself away, not in the interviews. So what you're going to do is, you're going to give your 2 of your strengths and then of course, 1 of your weakness also. But we'll talk about the weakness, like this is the weakness. So I've given you 2 options. 1, you can speak like this, Or you can even, like about strength, you can speak like this also. You can talk about all four. Yeah. So this part is your strength part. Okay. So this is your strength. Yeah. This is your strength. And this one is your weakness. I'm quite an emotional person. Okay. Now, emotional is a weakness which most of the people have, and there's nothing wrong with that. As a human being, we are social animal, and we are also emotional animal. Even animals are emotional. So why can't we be emotional? So there's nothing wrong with that. So when you tell this weakness, there is no harm. No harm is done to you. So always give away some weakness which is not very harmful. Okay, you cannot say I'm a cheat. You cannot just give your strength and then at the end you can say I'm a liar. Haha, just kidding. So be very careful when you give your weakness. Now, you can give this as well, and then you can also talk about your hobbies. So you can say, I love to listen to music in my spare time. Now, remember, this is what I see most of the people not using to after listen. Listen is an intransitive verb, and it will always take to after it. When we use hear, it is a transitive verb. We don't use to after that. If you say watch, we don't use to after that as well. Remember this. So you have to see when to use to, when not to use, where to use after which word. So you have to be impeccable as far as your grammar is concerned. So you'll say, I love to listen to music in my spare time. Now instead of spare time, you can say in my leisure. Don't say leisure time, say leisure. Leisure itself is spare time. Is this clear? Very good, very good. Bahut badhiya. Okay, very well done. Yeah. I also like reading books and watching movies. So I've given you a lot of options. I believe now you can give your introduction and your description together. I'll tell you how to do that, but before that, let me also tell you how to talk about your personality. Because this is what we have done here as well. We have talked about your personality. But can you give me some traits? How to talk about your traits? आपके ट्रेड्स की बात आप कैसे करोगे? आपके अंदर क्या क्या चाहिए? Just give me your traits, some of your traits. Please tell. Yeah, tell me some of your traits. Great. Should I tell you how to talk about your traits? Let's do it one by one. Okay. The first thing first. You'll talk about who you are. So, for example, you can say, I'm an ambivert. Okay. By the way, ambivert is a word coined by the psychologist, not by the lexicographer. Who are lexicographers? Lexicographers are people actually who coin words, write dictionaries and all that. But this word was coined by the psychologists because they found out that there are different kinds of personalities. One personality is who is an extrovert, who is social. He loves meeting people, making friends. He's a party animal. But then there's a kind of a person who is introvert, who always remains to himself. He doesn't talk much to others. He's not antisocial, but he's asocial. He's a loner. So somebody who is a loner is introvert. Somebody who is social is extrovert. But what about people actually who are neither introvert nor extrovert? Ambivert. How many of you are ambiverts? Write it here. How many of you are ambiverts? Okay. We'll do that. We'll do that definitely. About reading skill also, we'll talk about that. We'll make a I'll make a separate video on how to talk about your skills, like reading skills and different kinds, like maybe your cooking skills also. Okay, how to talk about that. We'll talk about that. And we'll give you adjectives. A lot of adjectives are the same. Yeah. So you can say I'm an ambivert. If you are in an informal setting, now this is an answer to be given during an interview. But if you are talking to somebody, you are maybe in a party and then people are describing. So what about you? Are you an extrovert? Oh, I'm a party animal. I'm a social butterfly. Now, these are very informal words and phrases that you should use. So, you should know when to use where. For example, again, you can say simply, I like to go out and meet new people all the time. So, if you are this one, you will never say I'm introvert. So, it has to align with what you are saying. Now, these two are aligning. I'm an extrovert. Same way you can say, I'm kind of reserved. So, if you are saying I'm kind of reserved, you will say I'm an introvert. Now, do you see this? These two, they align. These two, they align. And same way, these two, they align. So, what you are speaking, it should be consistent and aligning with different statements. Otherwise, they'll always take you as you are bluffing. No? So, this is what you have to be careful about. Now, you can also say, I'm pretty quiet, okay, when I'm in groups. So, that means, now tell me, what kind of person you are? I'm pretty quiet when I'm in groups. Are you introvert, extrovert, or ambivert? When you are in group, you are quiet. Great. So tell me here. So fifth kind. So it should align with who you are. Now, if you have to align this statement with your trait, what kind of trait will you give? Yes, you will say, great, introvert. I am an introvert. ओके तो आप हमेशा ये कहेंगे और आपने अगर इसका नहीं बोलना है तो यू कैन से आई एम क्वाइट रिलायबल एंड डिलीजेंट. ये बिल्कुल अलग है और ये दोनों ये बिल्कुल अलग है. ये सिक्स्थ है. ओके तो आपने यहां पर बोल दिया आई एम इंट्रोवर्ट एंड नेक्स्ट यू कैन ऑल्सो से आई एम रिलायबल एंड डिलीजेंट. सो यू कैन यूज डिलीजेंट, यू कैन यूज हार्ड वर्किंग एंड यू कैन यूज इंडस्ट्रियस. How was the session? I hope you liked it. Now what you need to do is I'm giving an assignment and you have to give this assignment to me. How do you do that? People actually who are inside the mentorship program, as we do it, we make videos. So you got to make video on this, give your introduction, describe yourself, send it to me. And people who are outside the community, of course, so what they can do is they can write it there in the comment section. Give me the answer. Would love to check that. But what you would do is you'll combine both of these. So you need to give a detailed introduction of self and describe yourself in one go. Okay, we'll wait for your answers and we'll check that. And if you really want to take my personal mentorship program, you're most welcome. But you need to be either a professional or a housewife. It's open only for them. And you can book a free strategic session with me. You need to just WhatsApp me on 96483-96484, write PMP, and we'll tell you what to do. So we'll give you the detail of the same. This is our WhatsApp number, our channel, Learn English with ZiTA. Please do subscribe and do share the videos. And we are on Instagram as well as, on Telegram as well. Thank you so very much. I'm sure that you like this session. I'm sure I could have add value to it. And I'm sure that you'll be able to speak well in English now. So for now, this is all from your host and your English ka dost, Vinit Kapoor, signing off. Let's win it with